Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens. Today's episode, Going for the Gold? Rethink Success. My name is Glenn Gers, and I am the Chief Operating Everything at Writing for Screens, a YouTube channel which tries to take some of the skills, tools, techniques, insights that I gained during a 25-year career writing for TV and movies, trying to condense some of that stuff down into lessons that you can try for yourself to see if they are useful to you. There is no system, there is no right or wrong way. These are just things I had to figure out for myself on my way out of the business. I thought, why not leave them behind for those of you who are still learning and working in order to save you some trouble or open your eyes to some things you might not otherwise get introduced to. That's all it is, just some stuff for you to think about. The way it works is this channel has got a bunch of playlists. Allow me to show you. This is a little screen grab of the main page of the channel. And if you look down towards the bottom, you will see a bunch of playlists. And here's a close-up of them. The first three of them are where the real fun begins. Screenwriting essentials, screenwriting tools, skills, and craft, and the process, being a writer. These are the three playlists that take about 50 lessons, 10-minute videos that I worked very hard to craft so that they give you some things to try for yourself, some things to think about for yourself, because every writer must figure out their own path. They must make their own path in this world. They must decide what kind of work they want to do and see what they are capable of and see what their reality is in terms of access. And all of that stuff means nobody can tell you how to do it. I can just tell you some things I found out. See if they help you. If they don't do them. Work on what's best for you. So when you want to know whatever I think about anything, look at these live streams, these lesson videos. They're each about 10, 12 minutes long. The title and the thumbnail. You can just browse the thumbnails and you'll see great big colorful words, flashbacks, genre, character, dialogue, all these things. Please check these out. This is a treasure trove of information that is there for you for free 24/7. Now, when you've got done with those, or when you feel like seeing something a little longer and sloppier, I come to you every Wednesday, if I can make it, at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time Zone to do live streams on various topics. Today's topic is about the Olympics and the concept of understanding success as an artist. So that is what we are doing here. And let me just do a couple of quick hellos, and then I'm going to get right into it. Hello, Donna. Oops. Hello, Donna. Hello, Jean, and all the writers. Hello, J. Mario. Hello, Pelicans. Okay, great to see all of you. Let's get going because I got a rant here. This actually was originally planned to be a lesson video. I scripted out an entire 10-minute lesson, but it was sprawling. And it was it just didn't feel right to make it into a lesson video. And I realized I think I just want to talk about it live. So as a result, there's a ton of stuff that's coming at you. And I want to try and get through that. And then we can do questions. Hi, Adam Lum. So here's the deal. The topic is going for the gold. And I'm going to ask no questions in this first half hour or so because I'm going to rant. Let's talk about the basic concept of the Olympics, because the Olympics, the next one is coming up in a couple of weeks. It's the best athletes in the world at the most visible event in athletics. Possibly FIFA is more, but anyway, the point is of this universe of the top achievement in athletics, how many Olympic athletes would you say you know by name from the last Olympics? Obviously, while the Olympics are on, you get a whole bunch of stuff going on, but otherwise, how many Olympians from the 2020 Olympics would you say you know by name? 10, 20? I would say that's pretty average. So here's the thing. Do you know how many medals were handed out in 2020? There were 957 medal winners. In other words, not just the best athletes, but the best athletes in the competition, the ones that were the cream of the crop of the cream of the crop. 957, almost 1,000. We know what, 10, 20? So this little pie chart here suggests the proportion of our understanding of what it takes to be an Olympian, what it means to be an Olympic level athlete, which is, in theory, the goal of athletes. Now, here's the thing. To say, well, okay, so we know about 10%. We know a little slice. This is not even true because here's a chart which talks about the actual number of people competing in the Olympics in 2020, which was 11,420. I'll let you see that number clearly. Okay, so out of 11,000 athletes, there were 1,000 winners, people who won medals, which means technically in our concept of winning and losing, which you may know I am not a big fan of, 90% of the Olympic athletes are losers. This is insane, of course. But what's more insane is when you talk about the ones that we know, the ones that we understand, the ones that we think of, the number is so small that you can't even see it. It's here. Let me see if I can get this a little bigger so that you can see there's a little tiny slice there of pink in this chart. It's just insane how little we know of, let me see, can I do this? Let me see. Yeah, you can see it there. A little tiny sliver of this pink, which is the people we know. My point about this is 99% of the best, the most successful, the most accomplished, the most extraordinary athletes are not famous. They are not rich. You probably haven't even heard of the sport they do, let alone who's the best at kayaking, things like that. And I do not mean to in any way put down kayaking. I'm just saying that in our world, in our culture, and our understanding of achievement, of success, there are whole ventures that don't count, let alone all the people, the 10,000 people who were the best athletes, but not enough to win an award. The reason I'm bringing this up is how many screenwriters can you name? How many do you know by name? And I do not mean writer-directors or showrunners. I mean people who just write scripts. How many working writers can you name off the top of your head without thinking about it, looking it up? I suspect that it will be about maybe less than 10, less than the Olympic athletes. There are likewise 11,000 members of the Writers Guild of America, which is the union of professional screenwriters in the USA. So the people who are at the top of their game in American screenwriting, the best of the best, the Olympic athletes of screenwriting, nobody has ever heard of them. Okay, so the reason I'm trying to point this out to you is because our understanding of what this job is, what this work is, comes through our interactions with the media, giving us glimpses into the life and work of people who make entertainment. There's very, very little about screenwriters, but there's more than there used to be. But almost all of those are, by the way, writer-directors or showrunners. Very few times do you get an interview or an in-depth story about the work process or career of a working staff writer on a show or somebody who did a draft of a movie. This is not just writers, though. I do believe that there is a category which I'm calling weirdly public work. In other words, this is work that we all kind of have an opinion about. We think we understand what artists and athletes and politicians, and to a certain extent the military, they're not often as glamorized in any kind of like contests, but we do tend to show them, we tend to portray them in a certain way, which is extremely inaccurate to the actual life work of being in the military. Just like if you think about what a politician does, I guarantee you most of us have no idea what the average day of a politician, what the questions and problems facing a politician trying to accomplish something are. And that's stuff that we have a lot of insight into. There's a lot of information about it. But the truth is, most of us, when we think, I want to do that thing, we think of what the media is showing us about that thing, which is the Olympic medals, the awards, the moment of triumph, without talking about what it's like to try and get a coach and do the training involved to become an Olympic athlete, to even get into the Olympics. The amount of complexity and difficulty involved in the work that gets to that moment, which is the only part of it we see, which is the final contest, the election, the game, the award, the number one hit movie of the summer. We think we know what it's like to do these jobs. I'm going to put them up here again. We have no idea. Truly. I don't know for sure. I only know that I don't know about the others, but I can tell you, as far as screenwriting goes, until you have actually been very, very closely engaged in doing it, you have no idea what the work actually is. The reason that I'm talking about this is to talk about the fact that if you want to do these things, you need to get past that barrier, that audience experience, that the media fed. And I don't mean to criticize the media like it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that obviously the job of a magazine is not to show us the everyday training of a javelin thrower. The thing is that if you are trying to be an artist, you need to start to think like an artist. You need to understand the job, the work, the process, which means to a certain extent, you are going to be alienated from the rest of the world. And this is not just for artists, it's for anybody who does a fairly specialized thing that other people think they know about. If you say, I am a thoracic surgeon, most people will say, I don't really know what you do. I mean, I know from Grey's Anatomy that there's like some cutting involved, but honestly, most people would not know the steps involved in thoracic surgery or what it takes to get into the ability to get into that room. What I want to talk about here is the fact that in order to be an actual productive working artist, even have the chance at being a competitive artist, you need to leave the world's understanding behind and get into the gritty, often unpleasant reality, which is very different from your dream, your aspiration. It doesn't rule it out, but it means you have to go through this other truth in order to get to any accomplishment you are going to get. Everyone who works in the arts eventually must ask this question: what is a real artist? If you are somebody who is saying to their friends or family, if you're in a school, if you are working at a job, but in the after hours you're trying to accomplish something creatively, everyone who knows that about you, they are going to judge that as, well, you're not a real artist. And the definition of a real artist for almost everyone you know is going to be this, okay? That is how we know that someone is a successful artist. By the way, when you think about fame, when you think about recognition, just notice that comes from money. In other words, the number one movie every month or every weekend is not the number one artistic movie. It's the number one box office seller, the most clicked on, the accomplishment of a financial reward. That is how everything is judged in the arts. There will be awards, but honestly, you're not going to see an award going to a movie that didn't get into the game of the financial stakes. So my guess is that even if you are at an art school, almost everyone, believes a real artist is a person that makes a full-time, high-end living by selling their artwork. And obviously their artwork could be a script, it could be a performance, it could be directing, but the idea is that you do this thing you want to do and people pay you because you did it. They buy it from you. They buy it and they distribute it or whatever else. No one that I know of would say that you're a real artist if you could make some money from art, but not enough to live on. You have to have a day job. That would mean you're not a real artist. And if you do an art job, for instance, if you are a commercial illustrator, if you're a graphic designer, if you work writing scripts for some kind of local business that needs scripts, they would say that's not real art. Okay? Almost everyone you know believes that being a real artist means you make a full-time living by doing your creative thing and then people pay you for having done that. That is entirely incorrect. The truth is, almost no artists make a living from their art. And I'm talking about respected, award-winning novelists, painters with gallery shows, works in museums, actors and writers. Almost all have a day job of some kind, or they have a supportive partner or family or some way in which they have managed to deal with the fact that almost no one makes their full-time living from their art. My experience, which is extraordinarily rare, it's like being in the Olympics but not being a medal winner, is that I did make a living for a good while, but I did that by not doing my artwork. In other words, the reason that I could make a living as an artist in the screen business was because I chose to do art jobs. I took assignments for things that I would not ordinarily have written. It wasn't a bad job, but it was not, I think of something and I sell it. Of the scripts that I wrote individually out of my own creative belief, I wrote 10, 20 original scripts over the course of my career. I think one sold, maybe two. The rest were simply people would like them and then they would give me an art job which paid me to pay my rent. That is how it goes. The people who you hear about who say like, oh, I think next I'm going to do this, and they make their choices. And I'm talking about actors too. That's the tip of the iceberg. That's the slice of the pie that you can't see here, that little teeny pink slice of the people that you've heard of because their art choices are bought. And they do that because they've had some commercial success. The hardest thing about being an artist is that our whole world around us, our experience, is actively wrong about what we do. They actively do not understand and truly believe that they do understand and judge us. In other words, nobody would say, gee, you're a forensic accountant. I bet you're not very good at that. Nobody would say that. But when it comes to art, athletics, politics, people tend to say, I understand what you do and I can judge whether or not you are successful because have I heard of you? Have you made a hit? Have you made a lot of money? Do you hang around with celebrities? These are the things that make that when somebody says like, what do you do for a living? And if you can say, I am a professional writer, the first question is, is there anything I would have heard of? 99% of the time, for most professionals, the answer is going to be no. It's going to be like, yeah, I worked on this TV show you never heard of. So my point is that in order to survive this kind of life, you need to get out of that game. You need to have to recognize that while you may end up in the Olympics, you may play in the Olympics, you may even win a medal, but you can't spend your time thinking about that. You have to think about being a working artist, being an artist who is training for the Olympics or striving for the Olympics or just trying to do the stuff. And I am not saying, oh, by the way, I saw this. This is just, it's a meme. I don't know who made it. I just thought it was really funny. It says, steal a man's wallet and he will be poor for a week. Teach him to be a writer and he will be poor for the rest of his life. I just thought that was funny. Anyway, so thank you, the internet, for showing me a funny meme. Okay, here's the deal. Striving for success, going for the gold, putting your all into trying to be successful in that notoriety, money, fame way is important. It's very, very important to give you a motivation to do the incredibly hard work it takes to become a working artist. And honestly, you can't win if you don't get in the game. So wanting that, trying to do that, trying to figure out how you can get it is worth doing. I am not saying don't work toward the win. I am saying the work itself has to be what you care about first and most, which is not always the case among your friends and family, among your schoolmates and business people and all the people that you know in your community or your experience. Most people we talk about, did you win? Okay, did you win an award that I can look at? Can I look up the award that you won? Can I see that you were in something that had a famous person in it? Can I see that you won that little tiny slice of this bigger pie? The work itself, making or doing something that you love, going out and playing the game the best you can, win or lose. Because the real question here is, if you like playing a sport, if you like throwing a javelin or doing gymnastics or swimming or whatever it is that you like doing, kayaking, but you're probably not going to get to the Olympics. There's so many reasons why you might not. Would you stop playing just because you can't get into the big game and win the big award? If you want to make the world a better place, which hopefully is the goal of most politicians, do you have to be a senator in the United States Senate? Couldn't you just work in your neighborhood council or start your own community group or an NGO or whatever it is that you're trying to do within your means, within your work? Is not city councilman incredibly important to the life of the people in that city? Isn't that the work? Just like if you love playing tennis, but you're not going to go to the Olympics, would you stop playing tennis? Why are you not playing? Why are you not trying to play the best game you can and to understand your playing? And mainly to just play because you like it. Because if you like doing something, you are naturally going to try and do it in an interesting and better way. You're going to try and engage yourself with it. If you love restoring old cars, so you do it on the weekends, but you also have a job, and it takes you 6 months to restore an old car, and then you sell it, and you make a little bit of money. You don't lose money. You sell it for more than the parts. Are you not really restoring old cars because you're not making a full-time living at it? Because you don't have a big store that everyone knows, oh, it's the restoring store, and that's the best one in the world. My point here is that almost everyone who wins an award, artistically at least, wins an art award, if you read interviews with them, they almost all say the same thing. It's kind of weirdly not the point. It can even be a letdown or confusing. But the truth is, the accomplishment, even the money, is not the point. The point of being in the Olympics is playing. The point of doing a thing is doing that thing. And if you play at a competitive, if you have a local school tennis match, if you have a local community tennis club ranking and you get into the game, that's great. That is an important thing to do. Because do not kid yourself. Any kind of success, any kind of accomplishment in the arts requires study, practice, and very, very hard work over time. I cannot, it's very hard to get people to understand how hard this is at that level. Just like to say, almost everyone can learn to swim. Very, very, very few people. You have to be biologically and societally and personally supported in order to become a competitive, winning swimmer. That doesn't mean you wouldn't learn to swim and be good at swimming and enjoy swimming. That other step of getting to be a notorious swimmer, okay, that's really hard. No one who does work in the arts is not killing themselves and sacrificing a great deal in order to do that. I swear to God, nobody that you see on your screen is having an easy time of it. Even the richest ones with all the support in the world and all the reassurance and regard, they are putting more than usual amounts of effort and personal talent into it. They are working very hard. And if you really want to do that, you're going to have to do that. And it is going to be very demanding. You are going to pay a price for it. Anyone who does this will tell you that. The other thing I want to talk to is the fact that there are different types of success. We understand success in terms of, like, once again, it comes down to, if you say, I want to be an artist, and people say, well, can you make a living off it? Will you be, safe? Will you be able to pay your insurance? The truth is, there are different types of artistic success. Money certainly is one. Creative control is another. And seriously, almost always, if you get the money, you lose the creative control. Very, very, very few artists, including some of those in the top tier, have creative power. Most of them have to work within the demands of the system. You'll hear it all the time. Most actors do not get to choose their part. They are trying to get a part, but they do not just say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I have creative control over my fate. Most writers have to say, I'm going to work within what the publishing world or the movie industry or the TV industry is willing to buy right now. The truth is that almost everything that you can look to art for, including just the personal joy of personal expression, learning to how to say something that you believe in a way that will connect to another person, that is success, even if most people wouldn't recognize it. The fact that most people don't recognize what an accomplishment artistic creation is does not mean that it's not worth it. It may be the whole game for you. It may be everything that you want to do. And almost always, if you want to get one of the rewards that people know about, you're going to have to sacrifice the others. You are not going to get to do the things that you find personally important. Most people, the topics or the genres or the styles that they want to work in, they have to not do, because the business is currently focused on something else. If you wanted to do Westerns for a long time, or if you wanted to do rom-coms, that was simply unacceptable. If you want to do a small personal drama, often there are periods of time when you cannot get that work. You cannot get paid for that. And the other thing that you have to remember is, even if you give it everything, if you do everything right, you cannot control the result of creative work. You cannot be sure that the thing you do will be a hit. And that includes ask J-Lo how it's going right now. Okay. She put her all, and from what I understand, it was very deeply personal, into her new album and her related movie and documentary, and got trashed. And Amazon and everyone who paid for that surely thought, well, we have a fairly large amount of evidence that this will be successful. It will resonate with people. It will bring in money. All those things didn't. So here's the deal. It is really important to remember success is worth fighting for. It is worth trying to get. It's just not within your control. And so therefore, I just beg you, rethink your definition of success. That is the call of this episode. First of all, think about, what do you use art for? What do you get from art? Does that have anything to do with money? It may have to do with fame. I mean, to a certain extent, we all think, oh, I wish people would, know that I was so cool because I wrote this thing. But honestly, is that when you're watching it, are you thinking, oh, that director's famous? Are you thinking, oh, that writer, they won an award? No, you're thinking, is this a good story? The things that you get from art, that's what you've got to be trying to get out of the art, out of making it. That's the deal. None of it has anything to do with money or fame or anything else. Art can be very, very satisfying. It can be empowering. It can be healthy and engaging and worthwhile to do. The point of being an artist is to keep making art and showing it to whoever will look. Please do not get so hypnotized. Remember, the art business, the Olympic show, is about trying to entertain you so that you will sit through the commercials or pay the ticket price or whatever it is. It's a business which is trying to sell you something, and they are using the lure of art or athletics or anything else to get your attention and get your money. And that's fine if you are in the audience. But if you are trying to make it, it's very important to recognize the alienation between what you are trying to do and what the business that will distribute your work is trying to do. If you don't notice that, you can really miss very real opportunities to do the thing you love, because they won't make money, because they won't be famous, they won't be respected. And then that would be like saying, I want a canoe and I want to be in my canoe as much as possible. And there's a way that I can do that, but nobody's going to, know about it. And weirdly, we're in a field where we care that somebody knows that we are doing this, partly because we're trying to connect. We're trying to do this art and give it to another person to react to. But you can now do that. We are in the first time in history where there are so many creative tools and distribution tools available to you, ways to make work and present it to strangers without having to apply to anyone else, to do anything else. You can do this. So please try to think about what type of success you want to work towards. Think about the different ones and think about what's worth what. Like, is it worth working for the money and giving up on your artistic vision? That is the main choice that screenwriters run into all the time. You can do the art you believe in, or you can do the art they will pay you to do. You have to decide which form of success is worth it. Sometimes you go back and forth. That's what I did all my career. I would do some work for the money, and I would do everything I could to succeed in that game. And there were skills I learned doing that were useful for my... And then every once in a while, I would take a break or sneak into the side and do something that was artistically satisfying for me. And then the goal was not necessarily to make any money. All the things I did that were creatively satisfying lost the money. I put a lot of money into the movie Disfigured that I directed, produced, and wrote. I worked very hard in the money end of the game to get that money, to do that, to throw it away. I lost all of it. But what I gained was artistic satisfaction and education. I learned a lot from doing that. There have been times when I have made a movie and the only success, the marker of success was, can this get into film festivals and be shown there? And they did. And that was the end of the line for those works. But that was the type of success. Currently, I am writing a novel. I would love it if a big publisher picked it up and put a lot of money into it. I don't think that's going to happen. That's a lovely, that's the award I might get. But the definition for success is I need to figure out how to finish the damn thing, to actually do it. And so that's the first level of success. Can I actually make this a thing that I look at it and say, that's good, that's done. I did what I set out to do. It may not be the greatest thing in the world, but it's what I tried to do, and I did the best I could, and I got it done. That is level success number one. Level success number two is I would like to get it out to some audience. Some audience. I may find a publisher, I may not. If not, I will self-publish it. In other words, I have got a level of success that I know I can achieve. How many people will read that? Maybe 100, maybe 2. That's okay. That's the level of success that I'm going for. And I am completely content if I get that. Anything more, it's gravy. I'm going to try for more, but anything more, those are my markers of success. So I just want to give you a couple of tips on how to do this, because I'm telling you to do it. So the first thing to do is plan for the worst, work for the best. In other words, I am planning for writing a novel that no publisher will look at, not even some indie publisher that doesn't even pay or anything. If no one will publish it, I am planning to publish it myself. And that's cool. Then I will work towards writing the best novel I can, and hopefully somebody will pick it up. I don't know. It's not within my control, which is the next thing. Focus on the things that are within your control. I can control that I can finish this novel. I can push myself to do that. I can push myself to learn about self-publishing and do it. Or I can push myself to get it out to publishers and deal with them. I don't know. Make one specific piece of work better in one specific way. That's a really good measure of success. Can you do that? Can you make it a little better? Can you do some work that you can complete and feel you've done better work with? Make something that you can do without anyone's permission, approval, or support. Make something for a tiny audience. Just do something, even if it's just going to be a handful of people. Make something that you will love, even if it fails in all the ways that people regard the work, or even if it's not as great as you thought it would be, but it kind of hits some of the notes you wanted to. Okay? That's all you can do on your way to the Olympics. Maybe you'll get into the Olympics, maybe you won't. There's no way to know. All you can do is work on getting better. Work endlessly, every day, continually. Every artist, every athlete, everyone should be doing that. Then make yourself available to luck. Finish work and show it people. To find some way to try and get it out to some distribution. And then make a life that supports number 1 and 2. Let me see if I can get rid of that. Boom. Yeah. Make a life that supports steps 1 and 2. That's the game. That's it. Do your work the best you can as who you are with what you have right now. That is the definition of success. That is what every Olympic athlete is doing. They are doing the best job they can paddling that kayak on that day and saying, how can I get more practice time? How can I get a better kayak? How can I get the attention of the kayak committee? That's all comes from working on your daily kayaking. Okay, so I have finished. I am now going to go back through all your comments and say hi and also answer any questions. You can ask questions. I only got a little time, but thank you, Jean. Thank you, Bearded Screenwriter and Sonia. Thank you, Adam. Hello, Thumper and Najo. Great to see you. Okay, so Hasko, not the pirate, says, "Hi, Glenn. Thanks for reminding me of Barton Fink last time. I've rewatched it after more than a decade. It's still great." Yes, that is absolutely true. That's the thing. Good work, you almost always can come back to, and it works. It comes alive, sometimes in very different ways for you. What I find most disappointing is some things that are very stimulating or popular at a moment. It's amazing how you go back to them like, man, it's just not there. I feel it's over. Anyway, hi Nishaj and TT and Wolf Powers. Hi, good to see all of you. Hello, Tomorrow Kiddo. Very nice that you are here. Nice to meet you. And Robert also urging me on my rant. I appreciate that. Yes, I can call myself a success. 20,000 followers. This is okay. Here's another. This is a thank you for that fan club. This channel. There are many things I could have done to get into the awards race of screenwriting channels. For one thing, not being a screenwriting channel, because screenwriting channels are not going to make as much of an impression as comic sketch channels or channels that are full of makeup advice. There's so many ways I could have gotten more subscribers. But what would be the point? If the point becomes winning the money or the attention or the award over the content of the thing, for me, not worth it. If you choose to make that path and say, I just want to get a lot of attention, fine, then work towards that goal. But if you actually love doing a certain thing, if you love a certain kind of music that you want to make, then you got to make that music even if it's got a small following. For the first year that I was doing this, I had 30 subscribers. Okay, I was doing this nonstop for a year with 30 subscribers. At that point, I felt like I was good enough to enter a contest. I was good enough to stir up a little. And I contacted Film Courage, and Film Courage was my doorway into all of this. However, you don't start by saying, I'm going to get 20,000 subscribers. I mean, that's lovely, but the way you get that is by having the content so that when I went on Film Courage, I had something to say and I had a way of saying it that was my way. Luckily, it clicked. That's great. If it didn't and I had 200 subscribers, well, it's more than 30. Okay, so there are some seems like smart-ass screenwriting gurus claim taking their class will get you a spot in the Hollywood writer room. Yes, people will make all sorts of claims. Obviously, that is, I believe many of them believe it. I do believe that a fair number of people honestly who are teaching screenwriting honestly believe the claim they're making that they will guarantee you success. Not guarantee, but provide. I just can't honestly say that. That would go counter to what I'm trying to teach. That's the problem. What I'm trying to teach is you can't think that way, because if you think, oh, this is the trick that gets me to win the Olympics, you'll never be a really good Olympian, because the truth is a real Olympian knows that there is not some trick that some teacher is going to tell you. There's going to be a mass of different things that are going to apply, and you're going to figure out for yourself and figure out for your body and your sport and your conditions what it is that you can take from that teacher who's saying, this is what wins. And some of those tips are very useful. But the most important thing for you to understand is that it's on you to love the work, and devote yourself to work, and to recognize the price, the difficulty, the obscurity of the work that it takes to get into that Olympics. Okay. I don't know how to be healthy doing art. I'm an old man that needs to go to pee every 30 minutes. You know what? That particular ailment or condition, that should not stop you from writing. Just take the break, do it, drink plenty of water, and keep everything moving, and you'll be okay. The main thing is that is healthy. The healthy thing would be if you had to get up and you didn't get up. That's what I'm talking about. Hello, Nathan. Okay. The title of the live stream should have been Glenn's Mindset Masterclass. Fair enough, but I didn't think anyone would like that. Thank you, Pasco. Okay, can you explain what is self-publishing? Self-publishing is a thing which used to be considered shameful, actually. In the days when publishing houses were first of all, there's just less writers and individual publishing houses that would take a manuscript and publish it and distribute it to bookstores. There were companies that would say, I will set your book in type, make it a book, will physically make it a book, and maybe help you to get it to the book distributors, but essentially you pay for that service. In theory, you don't pay a publisher. A publisher should, sometimes they don't pay you, but at least they don't ask you for money. That's really a key thing. If anything in the arts is asking you for money to do your work, that's their business. And you might decide you want to do it, but self-publishing has now become a recognized form, especially for genre work, for romance, for instance, or sci-fi or fantasy, where because publishing is now mostly online, in other words, you create your manuscript and release it digitally to ebooks, or there are now printing houses which you can, on your home computer, set up your book to be publishable in book form. You send it to the publisher, you pay them to publish this. There are various services that are required. You have to get an international standardized book number, ISBN number. You have to get it to someplace that can ship it to the people. You have to find some way to tell people about it and then arrange the purchase, or you have to show it to bookstores and arrange for them to sell it for you. All of those things are what publishers do. People now, because of digital technology, can do that themselves through various companies that you pay to do that. That's what self-publishing is. In other words, basically you open up your own little mini publishing imprint. You work through a printer, a distributor, a designer that you hire to do your book. And then you are responsible to market that book, to find the people who will buy it directly, or to find the bookstores that will take it and sell it. That is what self-publishing is. It's an entire other kind of work from creating a book. And that's one of the most important things to understand when you get into any kind of creative work is there's the work of creating. You want to do a painting, you want to do a song, you have to learn how to do that. To get that song out there, you either have to go through a company that releases songs, or you have to learn how songs are manufactured and distributed. And you have to do that work separately. It's a separate activity, a separate business. So that is what self-publishing is. However, the good thing is the stigma of it is gone. The problem is there's too much stuff, even among indie films or self-published books. There's too many. There's too many of them. Even among published books, like from big publishers, there's just too much stuff out there. So the biggest problem is most people just tune out if it is not being released through a recognizable distribution route. They just like, it must be shabby, it must be bad. It couldn't possibly be good if a big publisher didn't pick it up. If a big studio didn't make it with big stars, that movie must suck. That's changing a bit. Amazon now, people will click on Amazon, they won't even realize sometimes that a book is self-published. So anyway, self-publishing, a whole other topic. Thank you, Stay Foolish. I do not want to be president, but I do appreciate the sentiment. Thank you, Tomorrow Kiddo. Hello, Lake Filter and Brandon. Good to see you again. Great. Thank you for being here. Okay. Wolf, I am selling at least one copy because Wolf is planning on buying it. I studied art history in college, looking forward to it. Yes, honestly, I'm going to be really straightforward about this. One of the reasons that I am doing these live streams, especially the ones about the novel, is I am building a fan base. I am fully aware that my goal is in a year when I have the book and it's either been taken by a small publisher or I'm publishing it myself, I will have 20,000 people who are a little more likely to say, yeah, I'll take a look at that. And if 200 of them can do it, that will be cool. That is my goal. But that is, I am not totally altruistic here. I am partly doing this whole, the channel started with the lesson videos, and that was the point. The live streams have developed, and I'm excited about that. I'm really proud of a lot of them. But I'm also consciously keeping them going, partly because I want to have an audience for my work. Okay. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Glenn, on how to navigate working in the industry now. Keep hearing from different screenwriters how especially different. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I have to read these slower. I keep hearing from different screenwriters how especially difficult the industry is to penetrate this year. Yes, 2024 is remarkably difficult to get into the American screenwriting, entertainment, filmmaking business. We had a couple of big financial crises in the industry. The first one was the pandemic. It limited the amount that could be made, so they started, and also it limited their income, and so therefore the companies cut back on how much they were spending, which meant making fewer shows, paying fewer artists. So that was the first knock. The second knock was the strike last summer. Was it last summer? Yeah. Recently, there was a strike, a massive strike by the writers and actors, which put all production on hold. Once again, that meant that the income went down for the company, so that the company reduced its production because they're like, A, we can't do anything while it's a strike on, so production actually stopped. And then even when they came back, they're like, we can't do 40 shows. We don't have enough money. We lost a lot of money. We need to cut down to 30 shows. That's 10 staffs that are not going to work because they could have. And finally, and frankly, the biggest one is the companies made a horrific decision. They made a terrible move in which they are all consolidating and moving towards streaming exclusively as their methodology. That in itself is not terrible, except they put so much money into the streaming services and into building up the infrastructure and the product that they would stream, that they got into horrendous financial debt, which they are frantically trying to get out of now. Furthermore, there's just too many of them. There are too many streamers, which means that if your work is with a smaller streamer, it's very likely that people are not going to subscribe to that because they just don't want to subscribe to a whole bunch of different services. That streamer will then lose its money, then it will close. And therefore, we are getting a consolidation down to a few large companies, which then are just trying to make as much money for their shareholders as possible. All of that has constricted the amount of work being paid for. So, terrible time right now to try and get into the paid entertainment industry in America. But, everyone's saying, oh, it'll pick up next year. I don't know. I think that it will not be. We were at what they called peak TV. There were something like 450, maybe even 500 shows being made every year. First of all, no one could watch that much. And second of all, that was a lot of people being paid. So there was this illusion that there was an awful lot of work out there. That was a bubble. It was a freak occurrence. It is constricting back down. However, once again, I urge you to recognize that the industry is difficult to get in. It's like the Olympics. It is very, very hard to get into the Olympics. It is not hard to play the game. And the only way, honestly, to get into the Olympics is for you to play the game elsewhere, to do that sport on your own in whatever community theater, web series, school program, whatever you can do to do the work over and over and over that makes you more likely to get into the Olympics. And then you may or may not win. But just getting into the game is very, 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 very hard. Okay? It is really hard to get into the Olympics, to get into the Writers Guild, to get into the business. And the only way to do that is to be doing the work before you get in. Okay? They don't take anybody and say, okay, you have a lot of promise. Let's put you in here and we'll support you while you learn. They don't do that. They say, we want to use you ruthlessly for what we can get from you. We will pay you, but you got to be up to supplying us with the material on demand under the circumstances of work, which luckily there are now. Listen to podcasts, read interviews, learn what it's like to be a working writer. It is very, very, very demanding. And the only way that you can get into that is to be doing the work regularly at the top of your skills comfortably. You need to be comfortable with the pressure that is going to come on if they let you into the game. Okay. Do you consider yourself successful? Absolutely. I do not consider, I totally failed on all the goals when I was in high school and college, and starting out as a writer of all I thought I was going to do. I've basically missed every one of those goals. I have not succeeded in that sense. On the other hand, I made a living for 25 years, which is amazing. And it was a good living because it was a good time to be in the business. It was a better time than now. I did manage to navigate that world and work with my own conflicts about doing an art job. And I also found time, as I've said, to undermine my profession by doing independent, difficult, money-losing, disrespected work that made me feel very happy and successful. Those together feel like success to me. So yes, I feel like I am very successful. I was very lucky and I was very hardworking. And that combination went well together. But what is interesting is how much that what appears to be success was not my plan. My plan was to be Spielberg. Okay. My plan was to be, any number of writer, director, auteurs, Francis Coppola. That's what I thought I was going to be. So in that sense, no, I'm not at all successful. I got 1 or 2 movies done, 1 or 2 indies that were creatively satisfying and completely neglected by the business. This is honestly my favorite writing. Thank you. I am my favorite writing channel on YouTube. It feels like a hidden gem. You give advice I don't hear anywhere else. That actually is my brand. I consciously said, do I want to do what everyone else is doing? And I thought, I don't. First of all, I don't think it's true. I think a lot of the things that a lot of other people are saying is iffy on the truth. But also it just didn't reflect my experience. It didn't reflect my understanding. So this is my indie film channel. Oh my God. How did you keep the motivation when you have 30 subscribers? That's a great question. That's a great question because the answer is I like doing the work. I liked making these videos. These lesson videos I'm really proud of. I consider them a really great success. And I cringe when I look at them. I cringe at them technically. I certainly cringe at watching myself do them. I would have loved to figure out a way not to do that. But there's something right about them. And I said what I wanted to say. And that feels so satisfying. That's like what Disfigured felt like. That is what my novel is going to feel like. I look at them. I cringe in many ways. I recognize how unacceptable they are in many ways. But I know that this channel does the one thing that was my measure of success. I said what I truly, truly meant to. It was much harder than I thought. It was so much more complicated to organize and communicate these writing lessons. It took years longer than I thought. Every one of those lesson videos was much, much harsher to do than I thought. But that was what my motivation was. My motivation was, can I get that right? Can I get that across? Can one person out there watching this channel, one of those, and by the way, I had 30 subscribers. I would have 400 or 500 views, but so the point is, if 400 or 500 people heard that lesson, that's pretty cool. That's better than standing in a little, office in Los Angeles, opening up a little writing school and having 20 or 30 people at a time take the class. I'm reaching more people. So that felt really good. And that was the plan of doing YouTube. Because obviously financially it would have make more sense to have people come to a physical room and pay me physical money. Okay. I have trouble with being encouraged to continue to write past the procrastination and pain I feel when writing my script because it's so close to me. I'm okay with just creating and being able to make, a comfortable living from creating features because I love it. To me, that's success, doing what you love and being able to make a comfortable, that's my dream. Yes, the answer is, if you have a Nishaj, you're saying you have a particular pain, fear, anxiety, whatever, guilt that you are feeling because you're writing something very personal. Cool. Give yourself the space to encounter that. You may decide that it's not worth doing that particular kind of work. You should try doing some work that lets you practice the skills and enjoy the art without facing that pain. It's like, let's go back to the Olympics. Suppose you're a figure skater and there's a particular jump that is extremely hard to do. It's physically painful and almost outside your ability to do it. You shouldn't just spend all your time working on that jump. You should do the whole game. You should learn, you should practice, you should build up all your other skills and then work a little bit at a time, not give up on that remarkable, special, painful skill. Don't stop everything to just get that jump. Keep working on the whole game. Enjoy that. Build up your power and your abilities and your love of the game. That's the key. I think the most ridiculous class is one screenwriting YouTuber charges dollars to teach you how to write a query letter. That's a tricky one. First of all, I don't like to put down other people if I can help it. Second of all, it would be nice if they would teach the query letter without charging for it, but the truth is they need to make money. I'm doing this in my retirement. I worked for years writing stuff that tore my brain open, that ripped my heart apart, that caused me anxiety and depression because I was struggling to work on creative things that were unsatisfying to me creatively, but they were what the people I had to deal with wanted. Or I was dealing with something that was creatively satisfying, but the people I was working with were fighting with each other. And so they were attacking my work because that was like the battleground for their personal conflict. There's so many ways that this job can go really bad. My point is, I did that it took me 20 years to get to that point, to get in the game, to get into the Olympics. Then there were 25 years being a person who was almost always not winning a medal. Okay. But I was in the game. So my point is, I have now got a pension from my writing and savings from my writing that I can afford to not charge you. Not everyone can do that. And I think it's the important thing is that the prices should be relatively fair, and you should see if you can afford it. If you can't, there are other people who are doing the query thing for free. So shop around. Okay. Hi, Abby. I'm sorry I can't. Zhang? Is it Zhang? I'm sorry I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but hello, it's nice to meet you. I'm not a writer, but I'm interested to see what I can learn. That is the best. Welcome. Great. Please, if you have questions that occur to you I'm about to sign off, so put them in the comments down below, or you can contact me through writingforscreens.com. There's the link that will open an email. You can send me an email. Ask me questions. Okay. Okay, no more questions. We're closing the shop. Thank you so much for being a realistic look at being a screenwriter and filmmaker. The balance you recommend helps not to despair, but to always improve. Trophy yellow smile. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mario. I really appreciate that. Really do. Oh, no, I already did that one. Okay. Hasko. I know you're writing a novel now. Have you ever considered producing a show with amateurs to show it on YouTube? Just yes, absolutely. I would love to do that. Unfortunately, life is short. I am 65. I may be 66 years old. I think. Anyway, the point is I'm old. And it's killing me just to work the time I have to work on. And I don't mean killing me, like it's exciting, it's fun, but it's my time is full with the challenge of writing the novel. When the novel is done, I do have another novel I want to write after that. But in theory, would I then do some kind of indie online web series thing? I would love to. I wish I was younger. But there's only so much you can do. A craft question: how to write comedic relief between scenes in a thriller, but not go overboard, become a dark comedy. Good question. One that I have struggled. I haven't struggled with it because I feel like you must have a feeling for doing this. If you ask the question, like you must like that. Like when you see that, you like when they do that. Look at how they do it. Like literally break down a script that you like the way they do that. And see, how is it? Where do they weave it in? What's the percentage? I tend to do a lot of that. Like if you look at Seven, there's a handful of jokes in the movie Seven, which is a grim thriller. And yet it's enlivened by a certain amount of character conflict and wit between the main characters. Look at how they do that. How much do they do? The main thing is try it. Do what you think will be good. And then show it to people and see if somebody says, oh, that's become a dark comedy. First of all, maybe it's a good dark comedy. But second of all, if not, then you can always cut it back. Try it. Don't wait. There's no formula. There's no answer. You can't go to the joke-o-meter and say, oh, how many jokes can I have in this? It's a feeling. And different people will feel different things. You're the one who has to decide until somebody buys it and says, we're now controlling this and we're taking out jokes. Until then, you decide. So the answer is do it and then see how it plays to you. See when you read through it, do you feel like it's getting sidetracked or do you feel like it's heightening the power of the story? The good thing about humor in a thriller is it tends to make you care. It tends to make you care about the characters. Okay. Donates. Yes, I absolutely. I actually have some old scripts I would easily donate if anyone wanted them. What to do when a screenwriting agent is interested in your script and asks you to send the entire script to them? Okay, the answer is copyright it. Make sure you have copyrighted your work. Make sure you have a paper trail with their name and address. Do some research. Have they actually produced anything? Are there people who they've worked with that you can ask? Are they legit or are they a scam artist? If you have found an agent who says they want to read your entire script, that's actually a win. That's an accomplishment. You should be happy about it. Just make sure that your script is copyrighted in the land that you live in, according to the law of the land there. Make sure it says it on the front page like it should. It should say copyright 19 I'm old. Copyright 2024, Germany football rocks. And then you send it. What are they going to do? They're going to steal it? They're not going to steal it. Honestly, people don't steal scripts. They're an agent. Their job is to find someone they're talented. If they like your script, they're going to take you on as a client. So that's fine. That's what you do. Make sure it is properly copyrighted or registered with the authorities of your nation. Do some due diligence on whether or not this agent is legitimate. Do they have clients? Are those clients willing to say they're fairly decent? Everyone hates their agent, but still, check around. Okay. Terrible time in the business means it's time to slow down and improve the craft before things start to pick up. That's a silver lining. That's a positive spin. Start it elsewhere. Does it mean that we can try to get in the business in Canada, Australia, or UK before we break into Hollywood? If you live in those places, sure. I would say it's very difficult to go to a foreign country, even one that shares your language, and break into their industry. Work where you are. If you want to end up in Hollywood, get some credits where you are if you can. That's absolutely. Also, the experience. you have no idea how hard this work is. If you're not experienced, you haven't actually done it, you're very likely to crash and burn. It's very, very, very hard. You're welcome, Brandon. Okay. There is something called the University of YouTube, where lectures from Robert McKee and John Truby, Screenwriting Genius, has free lessons there. Cool. That's good. I am glad that exists. Why do you think some screenwriting gurus dare to charge £800 for a 6-hour class? Once again, like I said, they have to make their living. I mean, that the thing you want to do is figure out, can you afford, if you can't afford their class, the important thing to remember is you don't need it. I mean, it's lovely if you have it, but most of the information, there's not like somebody who has some secret. The only really valuable thing that you get, especially from a class with someone, is that they react specifically to you and your work. But you can get that cheaper or free by working with people. Try to work with a theater company. Try to work with a film school and see if they'll do one of your scripts. You can do it without paying for a class. If you have the money and the time and you want the class, take it. But you don't need to do it. So there's no gall in somebody saying, I am going to make my job teaching writing because I learned how to do it. Ideally, they know how to do it. Some people who say they're teaching it, they don't know how to do it. But if somebody is doing that, it's because they need to pay their bills too. It's their job. It shouldn't be free. I am giving it away free for a freak reason, partly because I'm gonna try and sell my novel. But the fact that I happen to be able to do it for free does not delegitimize the people who need to make a living at it. That's real. That's a real thing. I don't know what £800 works out to as far as cost of classes, but you should check all the different classes that you can and see if somebody's price is way up there, and you don't want to pay it, don't pay it. I watched an interview with Stuart Copeland, who's doing an opera now and loving it. Yes, exactly. Ambitious, skilled professionals wanting to do great art, but maybe it's a rich man's pastime. Well, it is in the sense that Stuart Copeland will probably do it at some fancy opera hall or something, but you could also do it in your local community theater or do it online, do it online as a video. So the answer is yes, it is a rich man's pastime to do it in the Olympics. It is everybody's pastime to do it. You can do it without that. Okay. Watching me live always gives enough motivation for writing. I'm glad. Currently pivoting from writing a detective noir to making character backstories for a teen romance. What if I put them in horror instead? That sounds fun. It sounds like you're enjoying the game, the process, the work. That is great. You are welcome, Nishaj. He says, thank you. Hi, Matthew. Okay. $700 US dollars to learn how to write a query letter is just insane. I actually agree with that. I think it is too much, but you don't have to, nobody's making you pay it. Okay. No, you don't have to do this. There is plenty. If you just type into your favorite search engine, how to write a screenwriting query letter or a novel query letter, you will find hundreds of videos and interviews and articles, and some of them will be free. So there you go. None of this is secret. Okay. None of the information that you will learn in a screenwriting class is secret. Okay. It's all out there. It's up to you to do it. There is no class. The point of a class is that the teacher individually will give you their opinion of your work. Everything else is just somebody's opinion. But them reacting to your work may be helpful. Honestly, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's harmful. Sometimes you get put down or you get discouraged because of a misunderstanding between your vision and theirs, or they're just an asshole. So, don't pay for it if you're not able to spend the money and feel like you want to get that thing. You can write without any classes. You can write without any special secret formula. Just do the best you can and keep doing it and use the free resources that are there. If you have the money and you want to, there are many good teachers out there who are charging because they have to pay their bills. But you don't have to do it. Okay. Tomorrow Kiddo is looking forward to a book. See, I'm winning. I did it. Have a great evening. Hello, Aries Aurelian. Person, turquoise writing headphones. I am not sure what that means, Aries Aurelian, but I'm glad you said it. Hi, Culture Confused. You are welcome. Okay, no more comments. Making local film for local festivals supports community, builds a following, gives a platform. Yes, yes, yes. Win-wins all around. Local actors for the filming too, yes. Admittedly, there are drawbacks. You will get often not great actors. There are ways to work with not great actors. But will it be the same as if you had Kate Winslet doing your part? No. Is it going to be something that you can do and you might find an exciting way to do? Yes. Okay. You are welcome. Good. It's afternoon here, but yes, indeed. That is not at all stupid questions. No, those are good questions. I actually like that question. I was very glad to talk about it. All I was trying to do was relieve you of the feeling of unfairness. It's what they're doing is unfair and stupid, but at the same time, they need to make a living too, and you don't have to do it. So you are free. You are not losing out. That's my main point here is you are not losing out if you can't pay money to do your art. That's okay. You can do your art without it. All right. Yes, thank you. You are entirely welcome. And yes, great community. Thank you, community. Thank you all out there who are making these comments and watching this stuff. You're hearing that you're out there, right? You're getting the point. You are not alone, and you can do this right now. Do this without waiting for permission or approval or success. Famous quote from the comedian Jonathan Winters. Thank you, TT. Jonathan Winters said, "I couldn't wait for success, so I went ahead without it." Exactly. Do your work without success, and you may have it. You certainly won't have it if you don't do the work. So that is the end lesson. That is the end of the road, the end of the game. I will see you next week. Until then, go write something.